Rising Bitcoin prices are heating up the race for mining more cryptocurrencies. Mining farms are large computer systems that perform complex calculations to create new coins. But they use a lot of electrical equipment and disposing of it is becoming a challenge. A new study published in the journal Elsevier suggests Bitcoin generated more than 30,000 tons of e-waste last year, and researchers predict the volumes are only going to rise. Well, for more on this, Alex de Vries joins us now from Almere in the Netherlands. He's founder of Digiconomist and has researched Bitcoin's growing e-waste problem for the journal Resources, Conservation and Recycling. Welcome back to the program, Alex. Firstly, you found that one Bitcoin transaction is equal to throwing away 2 iPhones into the trash. Can you tell us how you came to that conclusion and in what form is this waste?
Yes, well, we first of all established how much electronic waste is being produced by the system in total at the moment. And we looked at, for example, the total computational power in the network. We figured out that there are around 3 million active devices around the world. And we figured that those machines on average live less than 1.5 years, just 1.3 years on average. So combining those two statistics, knowing the average weight per machine, we can actually say, okay, at the moment, this network is generating more than 30 metric kilotons of electronic waste a year. And if you then look at how much transactions are actually being processed on this blockchain, that's actually very little. The Bitcoin network is hardly doing more than 100 million transactions a year. So if you take an average, that's actually more than 250 grams per single transaction.
Incredible. Elon Musk, who, as we know, is a big advocate of cryptocurrencies, recently said that he would hold off from investing more into Bitcoin until it becomes more green. He was referring mostly to the amount of electricity that mining for Bitcoin takes. But you're saying that e-waste is actually a huge problem as well. So what can be done to make the mining of Bitcoin more sustainable?
Yes, indeed. E-waste is a big issue as well, and there is no amount of renewable energy that can ever fix that part of the problem. The only thing you can really do is upgrade the software, specifically the Bitcoin software, and replace the proof of work entirely. There are green alternatives to this mining algorithm that can be implemented in Bitcoin, and if you do that, you don't need highly specialized and energy-consuming equipment anymore, which would eliminate both of the problems at the same time.
And let's talk about the future of cryptocurrencies more broadly, because we know El Salvador recently became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. That sparked a lot of protests among El Salvadorians, largely because of how volatile the currency is. Do you think that the adoption of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will be more widespread going into the future?
Cryptocurrencies have a generic issue at the moment is that they don't really scale very well. So it's really hard to use them at a global level at the moment. For example, Bitcoin can handle 7 transactions per second at most. A payment provider like Visa can do 65,000 transactions per second. So Bitcoin currently cannot scale up to that level. But even if it could, then hey, you still face a volatility issue that's not going to go away, because digital currencies are supposed to exist without a form of government or central banks. But that also means that there is no monetary policy. There is no price stability mechanism provided by central banks. So volatility will continue to be a challenge for cryptocurrencies forever. And that will probably be in the way of mainstream adoption. I cannot imagine that people will really enjoy getting into this cryptocurrency and then see it go down in value 10% 1 hour later.
And many countries are now urgently trying to look at ways they can regulate the use of cryptocurrencies in their economies. But do you think governments should also consider measures to regulate, I guess, environmental standards for the mining and transactions surrounding Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies?
Yes, we already see that happening. So very, very recently, China banned Bitcoin mining altogether. It's not possible to mine for cryptocurrencies anywhere in China anymore, and the government is actively chasing that down. So there is a possibility to tackle this industry with certain policies, although there is also a limit to that, because in the end, it doesn't matter where you put your Bitcoin miner. It's more economic beneficial to put them all together in a single facility and take advantages of, cooling advantages and low rates and such. But if that's all banned, then people can still put these machines inside their own house, and that's really hard to tackle. So I think there's also a limit to how much policy can really do about this problem.
And you also say in your report that you believe the growing e-waste problem surrounding cryptocurrencies will only become a bigger problem as Bitcoin becomes more valuable. Do you see that being a problem that will continue indefinitely, or will there come a point where perhaps we can have some sort of intervention to make sure that we reduce the amount of e-waste that's produced?
Theoretically, there's not really a limit, because ultimately the amount of energy that's consumed in the system and the amount of electronic waste that's being produced depends on the Bitcoin price. And the Bitcoin price can go up infinitely high. And that will increase the incentive for miners to use more machines, because they get paid in Bitcoin. So they will earn more and use more money to spend on resources like hardware and energy. Obviously, if you really want to tackle that, you can, of course, come up with some kind of policy to prevent people from investing their money in Bitcoin. But if that's not adopted globally, that's also not likely to be a very effective strategy. So for me, the only real effective change that can be made is changing the actual software, taking out the mining and putting in a greener, more sustainable alternative, because that's the only thing that will actually address the issue.
Okay, some really fascinating research. Alex de Vries, thank you again for joining us on Money Talks.